My name is Mhariel Summers. I am a native here of St. Petersburg, like lifelong resident of District 6. I've been telling folks this is the dawning of a new era. We're rebranding politics and re-inspiring, especially people of our generation. This 30 year old, 35 to 25, to get reacclimated with our political systems, to get excited about voting and civic participation. My political philosophy is rooted in Dr. Martin Luther King. And one of the things he, always talked about in his lectures was this idea of a base floor, that we need to have in our society to prevent homelessness and people, not having food to eat and things of that nature. We have to have an organized network of how the arts make money in our city, and we have to be intentional about how we're aligning with each other, and the collaboration efforts that we're working towards to ensure that sustainable artist revenue is a part of how we're building the machine. And so I don't think we can ask them to do more work. They don't have any more hours. So we have to work together. We have to collaborate. We just have to point them in the right direction to say, hey, I know you're working hard. When you get a minute, call this lady because she's going to be having an event. And if yours, you have enough pieces to fit this thing, then we can have it here for 6 months. And then this is going to be the deal. Just it takes more than just the artist having to do all of that work, and they can't be put out in this wild west atmosphere, where some of them may be extremely talented and their work needs uplifting. And so how do we make it a smooth channel of information for those who have all this talent, like I said, to contribute to our city in the most robust way possible? I mean, a creator is essentially an entrepreneur, but that's what they do. They create. And so you have to figure it out. You have to, grind it out. You got to make the decisions. You got to make the calls. You got to do the research. And you have to sometimes say, is this risk worth it right now? Can I afford to take this risk? And so I do understand that it's a challenging thing. It's not for the easy or for the weak. I can tell you that. And I respect the artists who can maintain and handle their business and focus on their art, because I understand it's not easy. We have to find ways to blow life into the economy, when it comes to these, underserved and lacking populations that feel like they're falling behind, that can't afford it. I'm 30 years old. I can't afford to buy a house in St. Petersburg. I'd have to go up to Clearwater or out to Ruskin. And so, at least to get, something that I'd like to afford. And so, how do we change that? We got to make sure that market equilibrium is more balanced. We got to make sure that the people who are actually living here have more opportunity to earn more. I like the idea of this basic income that we started with, but my fear with that is that long term it's not going to be sustainable, because the cost of living is going to continue to rise. The development and the apartments are going to continue to go up. And if our artists, in addition to giving them a floor, don't have a way to continue to grow their earnings and grow their revenues, if we can't provide them those streams, then in 10 years, we'll be having the same conversation with just much more expensive prices. And so we have to find a way to stabilize things here so that, the people who actually live here can earn the money that they need to earn to be able to afford to live into all of these private deals that are happening without our touch. I'd be down again to, like I said, support a pilot program like this, but I want to have it go hand in hand with, this is how this is going to be sustainable, or this is how this is going to breathe life back into our arts economy, as the overall conversation of, segmenting, supporting entrepreneurs. If we just have folks like who are parents who aren't trying to become, world-renowned painters, but who have art or sculptures that they want to contribute to our arts community on a regular basis, and their talent is wanted and needed, then yeah, we have to find a way to make it so that they can do that and contribute to our city in a measured way. But if folks are trying to, become professional artists, whether it's a professional content creator, a musician, a painter, sculptor, Dancer, the thing that we need to do as a city is, make sure that we have the networks in place for them to access, to access. If I'm elected, I'd like for artists to have a known resource, an easy known resource that can help them with those things. Um, that can assist with these things. That's what the Holocaust Museum does. That's what the Dali Museum does. The James Western Museum of Science. These folks aren't back there in their back rooms filling out these grant applications alone. They have the support, or they're part of an alliance. I know the local arts alliance that applies for the state funding. This money comes to these folks in a big block, and it's kind of divided up in between the different entities. And so, how do we find a way to apply that on that thinking on the way that we're organizing our local industries, art included. I don't just see artists as artists, especially as they look to contribute to our economy. I see them as entrepreneurs. A lot of what is being said by a lot of these artists I'm hearing from kind of can be paralleled with a lot of what other people in entrepreneurial based industries have to say about kind of getting off the ground, or kind of being supported by society. The entrepreneur is kind of the most vulnerable among us, because it's all about risk, the risk that you're taking to do what you love. It's there, and so I will totally see you, but I want to be very clear that I am going to always support, like I said, ways to grow our artists in our economy, to find ways to fold them in, so that they can maximize, have more streams of revenue, have more clear and visible paths to participation and to resources and to things like grants, whether it is, us finding a way to um, support something like this pilot program that they're doing in San Francisco. If we can find some type of grant to push to help identify these folks and look to help give them a ground floor, even something like that, I'm always going to want to pair with, what are our intentions in doing this, and how is it going to be, sustainable to carry not only these people forward, but fitting in the overall economy as it grows. I'm always going to see the artist. I'm always going to love the artist. I think the artist should make money. I think the artists should be able to afford to live in the city that they help beautify, and I would be willing to invest in them. I just think we have to have more conversations with the artists at the table, but with the person who has the right conscience and right heart for the vulnerable communities, who wants to make sure that the results that we're able to implement, we can see in the next 4 years. I don't want to be elected to spend 4 years talking about what could be, or to make these empty resolutions, or put together these non-resultive committees. I want to be able to get in and immediately identify ways that our artists can start benefiting from all of the great development that's happening here in the city.